Hey, Megan. Hey, Joann.
Hey,
Hey,
Joann.
Barn Besties.
Hey, thanks for coming.
Oh, it's so good to be here. This is
I want to go ahead.
Your turn.
Well, I was going to say I need to introduce you. Ooh. Look at that fluff going on. Yep. So welcome, everybody. We have Miss Joann Williams on, and she is going to be talking to us all things Western Dressage. We're so excited to talk to her. I'm going to go ahead and read your bio, Joann. Let me know if I screw anything up, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so you are a USEF large R in Western Dressage, right? Large R judge. That's important. There's a differentiation, everybody, between the small R and the large R. The small R comes before the large R, so you've had some progression in your judging career, and that's Western Dressage. And you're also an active competitor in all the levels of, honestly, both traditional but also Western Dressage.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So two of your horses have been the WDAA, let me see if I say this right, WHLPAP Supreme Champions. Gallod Ffantastic is an undefeated division champion at both the live world show and the OIC in levels 2, 3, 4, and 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Glamour Girl DBA /////. We'll get into that in a minute. She's undefeated in Western Dressage at levels 3 and 4 at Arabian Sport Horse Nationals, correct?
Yes.
And we'll get into all those, how she got all those pluses and things. You're also USDF Diamond Award recipient. Got many, and we can see them behind you, many Horse of the Year's regional championships on your own and your clients' horses. So you're obviously a horse trainer, a judge, and a competitor. So many of your students are competing in Western Dressage with much success, as well as yourself, as we mentioned. Have I missed anything? I'm sure I screwed it all up, but you're like supremely decorated in traditional dressage, but also Western Dressage. And we are here to talk all things Western Dressage.
Yay. Well, I'm old and I've done some stuff.
the
WL, that's the Western Dressage Lifetime Awards program. And Glamour Girl is also an active level 5 horse, which is the highest level that we offer right now. And you can kind of call it an odd mix of English 4th level and intermediate 1. So there's lots of things in that level that are difficult. But Arab Nationals, last year was the first year they offered level 4, and we were fortunate to be the first horse and rider combination to champion in that division. Yay! I was very proud of her.
Absolutely. That's amazing. And it's Megan and I should share with the people watching. We've known you for ages and ages and ages. And Joann, like, I have relied on you in previous positions. So I can say I volunteer for our local dressage club. And gosh, how long has it been, Joann, since the WDAA became the USEF's chosen Western Dressage? Decade, 13 years? How long has it been now?
About 13 years.
So I was actually president of our club and leaned heavily on, twisted her arm, Miss Joann, so much because the club had been talking about doing, an awards program for it. But the problem is that there were so many different Western clubs. We were waiting for the USEF to kind of sort out where that was going to go. And once we did, I did. And I thank you so much, Joann. I leaned on you hardcore to help us write the rules. And you were our awards chair for a long time. And I greatly appreciate it. So you have been my go-to for all questions Western Dressage. And so I really appreciate it. And I will tell you that there's lots of comments coming in on the live chat. So hello, everybody. Linda says hello. Joann, it's Joann. Looking forward to hearing more about your next accomplishments. We've got Kristen saying,
Oh,
You're
hi,
also,
Kristen.
yep, the freestyle. So that I kind of glossed over that. That was talking about the Diamond Award, I believe. If correct me if I'm
Mhm.
wrong there. Yes. So you know, show and coach freestyles as well. And we should talk about that for the Western Dressage. And then Anne uh, is a fan and said you're awesome and amazing coach and instructor. And then so Nicole says Joanne. So yeah, appreciating it and loving it. And I'm just gonna, you know, flash this back on here, guys. Please do go ahead and use the live stream, the live chat, I should say. And when we get a break, I'll flash it on the screen so that, you know, if you got questions, Joanne can answer them. But yeah, we're really happy to have you here. I'm super grateful. Going back, you know, 15 years. So,
15, only 15.
no, I mean, leading
get
hard on you on this dressage, Western Dressage,
Mhm.
you know, the awards, and kind of really helping us kick that program off because, you know, it was so new. You know, a lot of us just didn't know anything about it, and so I was grateful to get that off, you know, that program going. So, but yeah, let's get into it. I'm trying to think of where to even start. So I think we started at the beginning. How did you
I'll
gather your
start.
interest in getting into the Western part of dressage? Because you were a Grand Prix traditional dressage competitor. What made you go, I want to buy a Western dressage or Western saddle and try that?
Well, it was pretty much because of my horse, because of Gallod Ffantastic. We were doing the Prix St. George. But before I get into that, I have to say, with the Diamond Award, I believe that I was the second in the nation to get that, to fill the requirements. Megan was the third. She was right. It was a race. I won.
I'm always
Yay.
chasing after you. Damn it.
I know. Not anymore.
But I
Because you're
love
the Grand
riding
Prix
in the
horse right now,
with
and
you.
I don't. Anyway, so Gallod Ffantastic was doing, he did very well going up the levels. He won, always won his breed award. And for Vintage Cup, we were top 5 in the nation for every year except for training level. But he was struggling in the Prix St. George. And at that time, the Western Dressage was becoming a lot more popular. And I did some research and I studied, and WDAA, Western Dressage Association of America, made the most sense to me. And when they became a USEF affiliate, I was in. That was it. I bought a Western saddle at a farm auction. It fit him well enough. I threw him in the trailer. I borrowed some chaps, threw him in the trailer, went to a recognized show in, I think, 2016. And the judge there was Joyce Swanson, who has become a friend now. But I thought, okay, I'm going to try this, see what happens. And I did a couple tests and everything was good. And she stood up in the booth after my last test and said, "Come up here." And I said, "Oh, no." And she stood up, and there was a whole table loads of apprentices. There were about 6 apprentice judges. And she stood up and she went, "You have to come to the World Show. We need horses like this at the World Show." And I went, gulp. You know, as soon as I started breathing again and put it together and went. And at that time, their highest levels were level 2, level 3, and we won both divisions. So that was it.
Can we really quick, for those who more or less know the traditional versus Western, can we kind of give a rough comparison of level 2 and 3, what they might compare to roughly for traditional dressage?
Yes. Level 2 in Western is very similar to English traditional second level. Level 3 in Western does not have flying lead changes, but it has the half passes. At level 3, actually what I should get into here is just the levels that we have and the requirements very briefly. But, that would be third level English, you do a fine change. You do still simple changes in level 3 Western. And we call it level 3, third level in traditional. But
yeah, maybe we should go ahead and just kind of talk about the levels and do whatever sort of comparison you can, because we realize now that they're not perfect comparisons.
They're not completely, but in Western you get to do a lot more fun stuff, which I'll get into. But joining WDAA, the US affiliate, really nice people. A lot of the judges come from a variety of backgrounds. A lot of our judges are traditional judges and bring just a wealth of knowledge to this discipline. We have a strong horse welfare policy, always have. We're not changing anything to meet the times. And one of the big things that appeals to people coming from all different disciplines, all different breeds of horses. Kristen Kill probably knows the number of the different breeds of horses that have been represented at both the World Show and the OIC is the online international championship. And I'll explain that a little more later. But we have classes for everyone, every breed of horse. We have people coming from traditional dressage. We have people coming from Western, 65 plus breeds of horses. And if you look at the division top 10s, every single breed has been represented in that top 10 list and division champions. So there isn't one look, but there is criteria. Our tests start at intro and go to level 5. Intro is walk, jog. We use the terms walk, jog, lope instead of walk, trot, canter. The tests are very progressive. Riding, you never ride or train any horse, only according to the test, but the progression makes sense to the training. Really horse friendly. We emphasize in the judges softness, throughness, connection, which is soft, suppleness, and harmony. Even our collective marks are slightly different. I have a test. I get to read this. Gaits, freedom and regularity, elasticity of the steps. Now, in traditional dressage, you kind of get bonus points if your horse really springs off the ground with a lot of cadence, especially as you move up the levels. You aren't going to get any bonus points in Western dressage for an extravagant mover. You get bonus points for swing and elasticity, tracking up, going forward. We are not Western pleasure, not even close to Western pleasure, but any type of movement can earn approximately the same score, as long as they have some elasticity, suppleness, steadiness in the tempo, and softness in the connection, but still being on the bit. So our second collective mark is impulsion. Third mark, position, seat, and hands. And the fourth is rider correct and effective use of the aids. That includes accuracy. And that says steady, elastic connection, cultivating athletic expression, which doesn't mean going off the ground. It means covering ground. It means swinging through the back. But the horse should still look like he's a pleasure to ride. And our last collective is harmony. Yeah, Kristen, we're going to add that. Thank you. Can everybody read what Kristen is saying? We also have exceptional rider division for people who have some type of physical disability. And we have a gaited horse division. The gaited horses of any breed can be just as competitive. For the international challenge and the world show, they have their own divisions. At the smaller shows, they often compete against the horses that walk, jog, lope. And they're often quite successful in those divisions.
Can we talk about that?
Sure.
So is that going to be like a Tennessee Walkers? And
Yes.
I mean, I guess you could put a 5-gaited saddlebred, but if they're 5-gaited, they in theory walk, trot, canter. But I mean, do you get like Pasofinos and Peruvians, and what other breeds might go into the gaited divisions?
The Missouri foxtrotters have been seen quite often, and they're pretty nice horses. At the moment, I think that the Tennessee walking horses, they're a more popular breed anyway, but they're going to be seen the most often. But love seeing a good foxtrotter, and they are fun to ride.
I bet. So Nicole has a question for you. As a judge, Joann, what are you looking for in a good Western dressage horse?
Well, number one, I suppose, would have to be a good brain. The horse has to be willing to let you train it, you know, just like in any other discipline. I'm looking for a horse with a somewhat uphill natural carriage, a horse that is willing to go forward, a horse that tracks up easily. Purity of the gaits is a very, very important criteria. The jog must be 2 beats, the lope 3 beats. You know, I'm looking for a horse that is maybe inherently supple laterally and longitudinally, and a horse that's willing to carry himself on a soft contact without me having to work too hard doing 8,000 half faults every stride. Does that sound good, Nicole? They have to cover ground. I mean, I want to see, we all want to see a horse that moves forward. Then here's the trick to this. The tempo for each individual horse can be slightly different. Megan does a lot of freestyles, and you can't always move one freestyle to another horse because every horse has a tempo where they use their bodies most effectively and more biomechanically correct. So we have to find that with every horse.
I have a question for
Yes,
our
ma'am.
subscribers. Let's say they're interested in getting into it and they don't have a lot of horse experience. Obviously, they should call you, but should they also go to the WDAA website? Is there like a list of instructors? Like, because what if they don't know what elasticity is or what to look for in a horse? Where should they go? Let's say they're in Idaho. How do they get help?
It's Western Dressage Association.org. That is the WDAA website. And there is just a wealth of information. You could poke around for 6 hours and still not find everything. There are videos of tests that have already been judged with the judge's voiceover available to watch. There's all the tests are on the website, so you can look through that. There's information about our lifetime and yearly awards programs. There's equipment rules. there's just lots of interesting things there that will really get you a feel of what we're all about. And your second important, very important way to get information is the USEF rulebook. Both the general rules and WDAA has their own chapter with everything from attire to equipment to description of the gaits, descriptions of the movements, which are very similar but not identical to traditional dressage, again with that emphasis on harmony and softness. You know, the lateral work is the same. You don't ride your shoulder in any differently than you do on your traditional horse, etc. But we do have movements that aren't found in the traditional tests. Should I go ahead with some of those? Okay, so in the tests, all the way up, starting level 1 and all the way up through level 4, you will find turns on the forehand. And those are a really good, we all use them as training tools, but to actually be judged on the fluidity and the crossing of the hind legs. And ideally, we want all 4 legs marching just like you would if you were using it as a gymnastic exercise. Level 1, you do a 180. Level 4, you do a 360. And in one of the level 4 tests, you go right from a turn on the forehand into a 360 turn on the forehand, right into a 360 pivot. And then we have transitions, walk, jog, or lope out of those pivots. Our turns on the forehand and our pivots are done at a walk tempo. They are not reining spins. So level 1 and level 2, you are allowed either a pivot with the inside hind leg staying on the spot, lifted at the point of stress, which is usually every 3 or 4 strides. Sometimes it depends on your footing. Sometimes the horse can keep that foot anchored and come all the way around, but sometimes they have to lift if they're on footing that's maybe a little stickier, and that is not penalized. Stepping backwards, stepping out, or the very worst, a helicopter turn where they spin around in the middle, and then goes one way, front and goes the other. That's the most heavily penalized. So level 1 and 2, you can either do a half pivot or a turn on the haunches with all 4 legs stepping like we do in traditional dressage. Level 3, you have to show the pivots. By the time you get to level 5, test 1 and test 2, you pivot one direction and then you pivot back the other, and then you walk out. Level test 3 and test 4. That's the other thing. We have 4 tests instead of 3. Level 5, you have double pivots. And in one test, okay, I'm thinking in one of the tests, you jog. You do your first double pivot on the center line, and then you jog up the center line to the second next letter, and you do double pivot the other way, and then you jog to G and halt. And that's your last movements in level 5, test 4, after you've done all the other stuff. So we also, in level 5, we have full pirouettes on the center line in 2 of the tests. Yeah, Megan's raising her eyebrows. I got a what? But again, the tests are progressive enough that as you move up the levels, if your training is correct, I'm not going to say it's easy because none of this is easy, but the horse has developed the strength, the self-carriage, and the balance to do these things more successful.
And do you guys have freestyles?
Yes, we do. We have fun freestyles.
Ooh.
So both in the World Show and the online international championships, not only do we have regular freestyles, we have a costume freestyle. And that is so much fun to see what people come up with. The requirements, the movement requirements are the same. So you can't just go in and go crazy on your costume and your horse can't move, because you're still being judged the same as you are judged in the regular freestyle, in your costume freestyle. But it's just a lot of fun. And people take it seriously. It's a blast.
So do they theme their music to a costume? Like, would you, let's say that you're going to use a bunch of songs from the various Batman movies or something. And I mean, would you dress up as Batman?
You
or
better
Robin?
come in and dress like that.
So have you done this?
The music, oh yeah, done it several times. My favorite one was done during COVID, which was the first. We did what was called the pandemic pivot and offered the world show online instead of live. And I'll explain more about that criteria. But with it being everybody was on lockdown, I bought old-fashioned prisoners clothing with the stripes, and I made a helmet cover to match. And my entrance and my jog music were from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And then I used a little Johnny Cash for the Lope, Folsom Prison Blues. Yeah, I think I got an 83% on that thing. And then I did another one with a sunshine theme where I had Worf, that's Gallod Ffantastic. Everybody knows him as Worf. And he's such a good guy about this. I had a quarter sheet with some clouds on it and a t-shirt with a big smiley face. And I used, oh my God, I used Age of Aquarius and Mr. Blue Sky for the jog. And that was perfect. Okay, there, Joann Sarney. Joann Sarney is the go-to person. She runs the tests from the judges to the scoring booth all 5 days at the World Show in Oklahoma. Yay, Joann. Hope to see you this year because I'm judging the World Show this year. Yes.
So can we talk briefly about that? So in traditional dressage, when you're up in the FEI levels, it's not just the judge at sea. So do you guys utilize other judges' booths? We'll just call it that. And especially at your world shows.
There isn't enough room at the facility that we are contracted with for the World Show to have a second judge on the side. But it would be nice if eventually that could happen. That would be a nice thing to have. But we also have a variety of rail classes, and we have suitability, we have horsemanship, we have equitation, we have horsemanship patterns, we have a Western Dressage hack, which is kind of the equivalent of the Arabian Dressage show hack. You show different paces within the gates, all in a group. And that one's kind of fun. So like I said, there's really something for everybody. And I'm sure I've forgotten a few things that's offered. I'll think of it later, or somebody will think of it.
When are the Worlds?
Near the end of September. I think this year is the 17th 15th to the whatever is that Saturday. So they start on the first day with the rail classes, and that runs all day. Rail classes and the horsemanship patterns, which are abbreviated tests. They take like 2 minutes as opposed to 7 minutes for the other levels, for the other tests. So that's on the first day. And then we start the tests. We have 4 rings going all day. The first day is the test 1 of every level, second, and we even have intro level freestyles. And the freestyles are in the evenings. That's either the first day or the second day. I don't quite remember. Second day is test 2. Third day is test 3. Fourth day is test 4. The division top 10 champion and reserve, it takes your highest scoring of either test 3 or test 4 combined with your other high score, which could be any of the tests. So it could be test 1 and test 4 were your highest, those are averaged. It could be test 3 and test 4, and those are averaged. And that will give you the champion reserve and the remainder of the top 10 for awards.
And how do you qualify? Is it just like English, where you have 2 qualifying scores? And also, do you have to qualify to ride a freestyle just like in the English division?
I believe that for worlds only. There is now some qualifying criteria. I haven't really read it, but the qualifying is quite easy. 1 score. Last year, it was you had to have participated in any Western dressage show. There wasn't, and it has to be a recognized show. We have WDAA recognized, USEF recognized, the World Show, and the online international. Anyway, I think that this year you have to have a minimum score, again, lower than for traditional dressage to qualify for the freestyle, because the freestyles are the evening performances. 1 day is intro and basic. The next day is levels 1 through 5. Amateur and open are split, but they can be mixed within the class. And the costume is first, and then the regular freestyle the next day. So those are
Can you do the costume and not the regular freestyle? Yes. Or do you have to qualify one to do the other? Is it just different?
If you get that minimum qualifying score, and don't quote me on this, please, because I don't have the rule book open in front of me. That information would be on the prize list for the World Show. And we use showsecretary.com. If beginning,
Sarah's got a question.
Yeah.
Go ahead, read it.
With that. Hi, Sarah. Thank you. It really depends on the horse and the rider. A lot of people doing Western dressage continue to do both disciplines. We've got people who've never ridden Western before that are joining us, and we've got people who start with the Western and then want to explore more of the traditional dressage too. It's not a difficult swap. Personally, I think the hardest thing is the difference between the turn on the haunches and the pivots. It takes a while. My aids are slightly different for both, but if your horse is a traditional horse and he's only done turn on the haunches, it takes him a little bit to figure out that, I'm allowed, or thank you, Joanne, you know all of the rules. Thank you. There we go. Yep. And this is new criteria for this year. All right. So
We thank her very much for adding to that.
Yes.
It's really quite helpful. And I should mention, you guys, the reason I'm flashing it on the screen not only is for Joann to comment on it, but YouTube is a little weird, and oftentimes our live chat kind of goes poof after the live. So we want to make sure that important information such as this is preserved in the video. So apologies for interrupting there, but I did want to explain that to the people who are watching. So
well, it's
yeah,
nice
I think, go ahead.
It's nice to have everyone see the questions because they are important. And these have been great questions. And see, like I said, she knows everything.
Well, we appreciate it. So thank you, other Joann.
Yeah.
Joann in the chat, and Diane
she
and
has
the others.
Australian Shepherd dogs that she does the dog agility with. So I have an Aussie.
I got speaking of Australia.
Okay.
Can they use an Aussie saddle, an Australian saddle?
No.
They're kind of a combination. So no, that's a no.
Australian saddles are not allowed, but we have an affiliate in Australia. It's a very strong discipline. We are international and growing and growing. I think people they want something different to do. They want something that's maybe a little bit less pressure on them and on their horse. I say that, kind of, but you're not. Megan knows what it's like to move up the levels in traditional. And yeah, okay. And level 5, I should coach you through a level 5 test, and you can go, I have to what?
Well, I had a question, like, what is the cost compared to traditional shows, right? So, like, let's say this year it is July. Oh my God. Could AJ and I go to a recognized show, qualify for the Worlds, and what is the cost? Like, tell us a little bit about that. I'm curious. Okay. I love quizzing at horse shows about this.
We have the different types of shows. We have, if it's WDAA recognized shows, have to be, in order to get the recognition, they have to have either a small or a large R judge. Those are the only 2 judge rankings that we have at this time. They count for qualifying for Worlds. Schooling shows are cheaper, just like every place else, but we can have that recognition within a mixed show. I'll be judging the Sorensen's Schooling Show Championship, and hat on, half off, hat on, half off, as I judge, both disciplines. So then the USEF shows, they're going to cost, it really depends if it's part of a breed show. A lot of the Arabian shows and the Morgan shows will offer all breed Western Dressage classes as well as breed limited classes. Here in Wisconsin, we have the Wisconsin Arabian Horse Association. They do a fabulous job. They have several shows, and the Region 10 championship, regional championship in Oshkosh in June. So the cost is really dependent on what showgrounds you're on, what management, and the ranking of the show. The World Show, I don't know. I haven't seen the price list, so I don't know what they've gone up. But the stabling, I think, for 6 days was $250, and the class fees were $65. Yeah, put your eyes back in your head. It's okay. So far, it is less expensive.
Maybe I need to go to Western Dressage here. Wow. Maybe you should come up for a lesson. Can AJ and I do this?
Sure, why not? Actually, a lot of our upper level horses are not to be derogatory. They are, but they are FEI horses who need a change of pace. So yes, that's right, Diane. We are extremely inclusive. We're inclusive of people. We are inclusive of all breeds of horses. We have at the World Show, there is one lady that comes every year. She has a little fjord horse. She's 80 something years old. And you know what? She makes top 10 every year. She just rides that little guy. And they do great. And she always does a fabulous freestyle. One year I was just watching because I was competing, and she did her jog work to Stray Cat Strut. And it was fabulous. So, we have a lot of fun, and we're very supportive. Other disciplines are the same. You get what you put in. That's you want to talk to people. You've read somebody's name somewhere. Go meet them. Go talk to them. If they're busy, they'll tell you to come back. Oh, good, Diane. Show outfits. We have specific rules. Helmets are fine. Oh, she was. I forgot her name, but I know the fjord horse is named In It to Win It, all one word. Is that amazing or what? Anyway, so in the USEF rule book, there are specific attire rules. You can wear sun shirts, but you should be wearing long sleeve shirts with collars. We can have what I'm wearing would be very appropriate. It's very Western. But we see everything from blue jeans to fancy Western pleasure with all the sparkles everywhere. Full chaps, half chaps, as long as they have some kind of Western decoration, when it's super hot. And for the online shows, I'm not putting on those equitation drop chaps. No way. They're full suede. I have half chaps with conchos down the side. I have another pair of half chaps that has Western scroll work that I sewed on there. So you can't just put on your paddock boots and your breeches and your regular English half chaps. That's not going to work. Some people just wear trousers or pants. I personally wear breeches with my, no shell bellies, no, not required. I wear breeches because I can't ride in jeans. They just rip my skin apart. But people ride in jeans. Trousers, there's a boot cut breech that a lot of people use. I think Smart Pack makes them. They look very nice. Any kind of dress pant, helmets or Western hats, whichever you prefer. Let's see what else. Some of the shows, especially in the South or during the hot summer, they will allow short sleeves, but it has to be no polo shirts. For some reason, I believe the rule is you can wear a long sleeve sun shirt, but not a short sleeve sun shirt. So short sleeves with a collar. I looked in my closet and I have Hawaiian print short sleeve shirts, and it's been so hot up here. I've been wearing those for the online shows, and they look pretty good because, anything goes as far as pattern or checks. Just remember, this is just a little exhibitor tip, if you're wearing something with a really contrasty pattern, especially like a white shirt with bright red roses, from a distance, it's going to look like you lost the paintball fight. So keep a little bit in mind what looks really cool up close is going to be a little cringy from, far away. Judges don't care. We're not going to mark you for it. We're just going to maybe go, I wish she had looked at that. before she went into the ring from a distance. I had one girl, I have to tell this story. Everything she wore was skin color. And when she was down at A, she looked naked. It was hard. Yeah.
It's a good thing I'm on mute because I'm laughing really hard right now.
We're watching.
As soon as
you
said that, I knew where you were going with that.
Yeah, you knew where it was going. It was just kind of okay.
Ooh.
But one thing that's really fun to do, especially at the World Show, because we have hundreds of exhibitors in all the levels, and we get to see what everybody is wearing, what they're using for tack. Does their bridle and saddle have a lot of silver on it? Is it workmanlike? So we have everything from people that just look like they stepped off the range to people in their full breed show, spangly, shiny stuff. And everybody is judged equally and treated equally.
What about the horses? Can they wear wraps or boots?
Yes. We are not allowed any type of boot. We are allowed polo wraps, either white or closely matching the horse's color.
Ooh,
So
like
my little trick with Worf, who has 3 high white socks and 1 chestnut leg in the front. I don't show him without front polos. It just equalizes those 3 whites. Because a horse with really big markings like he has, they can look irregular even if they're not irregular. So we are allowed those polo wraps. And then you take them off as soon as you're done and get the cold water running on those legs.
Can I circle back?
Yeah, please.
Did I hear you say you could have a helmet or a Western hat, cowboy hat?
That is correct.
Oh, USEF doesn't fight and say you have to have an ASTM SEI helmet.
No, because they allow, you're not going to see, except maybe junior classes, most of the breed show organizations do not require helmets for their Western type riding. AQHA, you would probably really look out of place if you went into any Western class for them wearing a helmet. I would, but that's just my personal preference. And it's nice to see, I don't know, I'm going to probably say about 60% of our competitors are wearing helmets.
It's honestly good to see that there's no difference. So
right.
you mentioned Region 10 Arabian, and actually Megan and I were there a couple weekends ago. It was actually in Madison because you went
to the main ring. Oshkosh Sport Horse, where you're going to see the judge.
That's good to know.
The dressage.
But because that was a breed show, we did see a ton of classes with no ASTM hard hats. So makes sense. But I wanted to bring it back up again because we kind of whipped through it, and it's interesting. Go ahead, Megan.
Yeah.
Just going towards tack, I have a couple of questions, but since you brought up Region 10, we saw people warming up in draw reins. In the Western Dressage, you would have a Western curb bit, correct? Or can you use a snaffle?
You can use, and again, between the WDAA website and the USEF website, very comprehensive list of what is allowed with pictures, what is allowed, what is not allowed. Snaffles and curbs are both allowed. Must have smooth mouthpieces. They can have a roller. We're also allowed, and a chain or a strap for the curb. Doesn't matter. Everything must be smooth. We're allowed nose bands. They're not required. part of our tack checks is to show the inside of the noseband to show that there's no chain or anything added. The tightness is checked, but at any level, you can use either type of bit, either a shanked bit or a snaffle. But again, if you're thinking of using one or the other, be sure you check the rule books, because some things are allowed and some things are not allowed. Kimberwicks are not allowed, for one. Pelhams are not allowed. Double reins are not allowed. Any type of additional gadget to set the head is not allowed anywhere on the grounds. That's an immediate, you're out of here. So we are also, well, there's another thing that we do that not many other disciplines do. We are allowed bitless options. You see, based on the Vaccaro tradition, which is kind of the founding of the Western Dressage Association of America, is we go back, we refer back to those roots with the development of the bridle horse. And that horse goes through steps where he starts his training in the Boselle. You are allowed to use the Boselle all the way up through level 5. We also allow a Dr. Cook type bitless bridle, a cross under style. Dr. Cook is just the most well-known type of bitless bridle. So we are allowed those. And at the World Show, one of our competitors from Michigan, I believe, was division champion in either level 2 or 3 with one of those crossover or cross under bridles. The other type of bitless things are not allowed, just the Boselle or a Boselita. We are allowed, as in a bridle horse develops, they will start to wear a bit, and instead of the thick Boselle, you go to a Boselita, which is thinner, and you actually, that is the only 4 reins that we have. It's the Western equivalent of the double bridle, and very clearly illustrated in the rules on both. You were reserved. Congratulations. I hope to see you next year or this year. Anyway, can I talk about the online showing? Okay. Western Dressage Association embraced the online shows, really starting a little bit in 2019, but really full speed ahead. Congratulations, Diane. Full speed ahead in 2020 with the pandemic. In the online shows, there are very specific rules, and we're not shy about eliminating riders that we think have tried to skirt the rules. Before every test, you hold a sign, which when you enter an online show, most of the shows, the organizers will email you a sign that you print out that has the name of the show, the recognition number of the show, your name, your horse's name, and an entry number, and you fill in the filming date. That sign has to be held up long enough for the judge or the steward to read. And then if there's any sign of editing, you will be disqualified. So it's one continuous video from the time of the sign to starting the test, completing the test. When you complete the test, you walk up to the camera, you stand sideways to the camera, your camera person zooms in on your heel to show your spurs, you move your foot forward to show that there's no blood marks. And then you do the same thing on the other side. Then you dismount. You show I always show my whip if I'm carrying one, although you never know. It's a legal whip. it doesn't come up to my head, but you don't know how tall everybody is. So I do it anyway. Okay. So then you have to take your hand, show how that you can fit your hand, technically 2 fingers. I stick my whole hand for tension in the noseband. And then the same thing for the tension in the curb strap or chain. And then I turn my horse facing the camera, unbuckle the noseband if you're using one. I hold it out in front of me and I show the outside of the noseband for 5 seconds. Then I flip it up and I show the inside of the noseband, the entire length of it. And then I refasten it loosely if it's separate from my bridle, and because then I can use it as a halter. And I slip my reins through the noseband and drop the bridle. And I hold the bit up. I show both sides of the bit for 5 seconds each. And that's pretty much it. We allow ear bonnets. We do allow earplugs. We used to have to show the inside of the ear bonnet, but we're not required. I still do it. It's just kind of habit, because with Gigi, with Glamour Girl, since her bridle is integrated, so she's standing there with nothing on her head except the reins around her neck. And I'm going, don't leave. Just don't leave, because I have no fence around my rein. So don't leave. So I kind of tuck my shoulder under her chin, and she's a good girl. With my other 2, their noseband is separate. I'll be happy to answer that question in a few seconds, Diane. So then put the bridle on, husband shuts off the camera, then you upload your video to YouTube. You have to have your own YouTube channel, and you send in the link to the show organizer. The online international, the first one was in 2020, the pandemic pivot, and they have moved it to the spring. And they've had it every year since. This year, there were well over 1,000 tests judged at all the levels. And a lot of people had a lot of difficulty with this year. The weather was a huge challenge. Some people entered and their arenas were still underwater. You have to be a little jealous of the people with beautiful arenas, and they can set either your camera. Some people use a Pivo. I don't know. I don't trust it. I had one beautiful ride where at the very end, the last movement, it got focused on a weed outside the arena. It was like a fabulous ride, and I cried. I just about cried. So I have a husband with a camera, or I have my client with her phone, and we've worked out the bugs for that with the zooming and not zooming. Pivos work best in the small arena where you are allowed to do intro and basic, and you will be, I assume, but I don't know for sure, the new division, the new walk jog division at the lower levels there. I haven't seen the tests yet. You're probably allowed to use the small arena. The Pivo is more dependable there. Every year, Pivo is now a sponsor for WDAA, and every year they improve their software. So I don't know at this point, and as our phones get smarter than I am, the phones will improve the quality. Diane asked about challenges of judging online. Everybody has a different arena, different setup. There are some of the things, you're supposed to have your letters where the judge can clearly see them. And sometimes I'm like, really, some people don't zoom enough or they zoom too much. You want to be able to, when you're at the far side, you've got to be able to see the far corners so that you can tell the accuracy. I've had people, the camera is supposed to be set up facing directly the center line, and they'll either set it way too close where all I can see is their leg as they go by. That doesn't work well, or too far away, and then they don't have enough zoom for the far end of the arena. And we are directed. If you really can't see it, you cannot give higher than a 6 on that particular movement. If you're imagining it, it's a 6 or below. The other challenge, some people have indoor arenas, but it's fairly dark. And if they're riding a dark horse in the indoor arena, it can be really, really hard to see. And it can be hard to see their ladders. It can be a little more difficult to see accuracy of the different figures in the online presentations. And the online takes a lot longer to judge because most of us use 2 devices. For me, I have the test, and the show organizer will send me the links and like a PDF fillable that is the test copy. So I can maybe do personally, maybe others can do more. I can do 2, maybe 3 movements, and then I have to stop and write my score and my comments. Weather conditions. The other thing that is required in your video is natural background noise. No music and absolutely no cheater coaching. And if you're wearing earphones, unless you have the special handicap permission, I forget what it's called. What's it called, Megan? Dispensation through USEF, where you are allowed to have headphones. There's one gentleman who is deaf, or partly deaf, and he has that, and his reader has connection to his earbuds. But if you don't have that and there's earbuds in your ear, boom, you're out. So I'm not sure what else.
No, that's a lot to think about because, unless you ask somebody to scribe for you, if you're judging online, it's just you. So you're watching, you're mentally making your score and your comments, and then at least you do get to stop, pause, fill it in. But how long would you say that? Okay, so let's say a level 3 test. Is that a normal, like a 5-minute test, 4-minute test when ridden normal?
It's 5 to 6 minutes.
Okay, so how long would an online?
Okay, level 4 test. Mm-hmm. Where is the time allowed?
So a standard riding judge with a scribe is going to have however many minutes, to judge it, because they're scoring in time and they have a scribe. But so if you had a 6-minute online, without a scribe, is about is it going to be like a 15 to 20 minutes per rides for you? Does that take you that long? Or minimum. So and then it's a lot of work.
We are strongly requested any score below a 7 to give a comment. To try to say something helpful. And so, when it's approaching midnight, we're praying for somebody to let us give 8s. And we still give productive comments, but maybe not as many. So go for those 8s, people, in your online stuff, because normally most of our judges, we are filling in our online judging assignments in between training and teaching, or whatever is your regular job. I sat at the airport yesterday and I judged 6 tests because my flight was delayed. So I had the time. I actually found outlets where I could plug in both my devices. And, another thing is there's a lot of people, they have these nice, solid colored face horses. And when you're judging a black horse in a dark arena, you have to seriously go, does it have a head? Does it really have a head? And if you see the tip of an ear, then you know that they're crooked.
Could you put on a fly mask? I don't know. Can you put some kind of? You probably can't, right?
Take a white piece of paper and paint a star and help me out.
Yeah.
And then you've got the horses just like live, but the horses with, like I am blessed with 3 chestnut horses with wide blazes that aren't perfectly symmetrical. And if the zooming isn't done correctly, you've got to be able to see the ears to see if there's actually a head tilt. So Kristen has one of those black horses with no markings, Kristen Kill. So, yeah. Well done, Kristen. But I know you're straight. So there's not a problem. Good question, Kristen. I'm glad you brought that up. Absolutely. If we're questioning, we are replaying. And with the online shows, if you've got a disaster going, you don't have to submit that one. Don't send us scores or tests where we're forced to give you a 50 or below. Do it over. Go ahead and do it over. We want to see good riding, especially in these online shows as well as live. A live show, what it is what it is. You shrug your shoulders and move on. But in an online show, it equals out. I always hear, oh, that's so much easier. It is not easier. You have to do all the things. You have to be the show manager. You have to make sure your arena is prepped. You have to round up a camera person. You have to, I don't know about you, but when I go to a live show, my horse is clean and brushed and ready to go. And I only have to do touch-ups once I get there. At home, I got to go catch them and see what the degree of dirty is. And then make sure everything is up to snuff, because I'm going to be looked at very closely. So I want to present a nice, clean horse. So by the time you do all that, and then you have the option, knowing the judge can replay the video if there's a question, sometimes you just have to go with the flow, because there's only so many times a horse will do the same test in a particular day. And at the upper levels, it really has to be one and done. Unless you make some kind of, if you have 3 accumulated errors, what you know is, oh, I can do so much better in the beginning of the test, then, maybe you might think about starting over. But if you're at the end of the test and it's been brilliant and there's one little mistake, do your horse a favor, put him away for the day. And if you really want to try again, do it another day. Is okay. The best advice I can give.
I got a burning question. Tell me about prizes and ribbon. I mean, do you just only get ribbons? Do you get belt buckles? Do you get money? Like, obviously, like, and of course you have to break it down. There's worlds, there's a normal show, there's a schooling show, there's online, but let's just take worlds. No, actually, let's just take a normal show. What kind of prizes do we get?
Whatever the show organizer decides to give you. Yeah. So that is really based on each individual show. I've been doing, because Gigi is half Arabian, I have been doing more and more of the Arabian shows, and they give for champion the neck garlands and some kind of nice region 10 is great because they give you choices. They have this whole table set up. If you're champion, they have this whole table set up where you can pick. And there's also vendor bucks. They offer vendor bucks. So you get coupons to use at one of the vendors. And this year I won several of them. And one of the vendors was Horse Emporium, which is local to me. And I know them well. I got a new pair of pad boots, which I really needed. So yay for that. The online show and the world show for every division and at every level, they have junior, amateur, and open. Even the exceptional rider division is divided. The gaited division is 2 sections, intro through level 1, level 2 through level 5. Really nice belt buckles for division champion, plus nice ribbons. They have breed awards, and that's true for the online international also. They will get a belt buckle for the world show, the live world show. Really nice ribbons all the way down to 10th. No money. Unfortunately, you only get to spend, but that's okay. Most shows you only spend. We know what that's like. As far as the other shows, again, it's really management choice. And it's nice to have different things handed out at different shows. So did that help, Megan?
I feel like it's refreshing to hear that. And honestly, as I mentioned earlier, we were at the main ring, big ring, for Arabian Region 10 recently, and it was just a lot of fun to see how different. And like you said, they were like rosette neck ribbon, rosettes,
yes.
roses.
And reserve champions get one of those too, except theirs is white.
And then they got a neck ribbon too. So they got the rosettes, but they get like what's hanging behind you on your wall. Yeah. So that was fun to see. And honestly, Megan, did you see anything? Did they get anything else?
God.
Was there anything else there?
These are, I don't even know what these are from. I'm kind of surrounded. USEF also gives, Horse of the Year awards at every division or in every level, in every division. So if you have a lot of USEF shows in your area, you can, and you're a USEF member, you can apply or you will be counted for that. Also, we have a lot of state affiliates, and the state affiliates, I have 2 belt buckles in the other room from the Michigan Association. You don't have to live in that state to be a member. And I have 2 high score belt buckles from the Michigan Western Dressage Association. There's also different online series platforms where you can qualify and compete in a year-end awards division. And several of them also give nice belt buckles and nice ribbons, certificates, wall plaques. Depends on the show. In the Arab, you were at the main ring Arab show, those big trophies, big horse statues. I got a couple of them in the other room, and that was pretty special.
Yeah, so, I don't think you see that kind of thing in most traditional dressage shows.
No, only, I mean, I was
ribbons,
in nationals. You've gone to nationals.
Nationals, you just
You
get
get
neck
right.
ribbons. You do get money
Okay.
back, but it doesn't even, I mean, it costs more to go there. And the owner
Well,
gets
will
it
it pay your
anyway.
gas? Will it pay your gas? Because regionals used to at least pay your gas, but it's been a
No,
while
it's
since I've
been,
gone there.
yeah, not really. I think my horse only won like $2,000 that year, Kingsley.
Only? That's
Only.
pretty good.
I want to compete with the thoroughbreds and make millions. Come on. Let's
Well, good
go.
luck with that.
I
I think
know.
you'll have to change disciplines for that.
I know.
Be the
I
next
know.
Dwayne Lucas.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Although I
Trying to
still
think
want
of anything else. Need more
I
questions.
Can we? Okay, so I got one for you. While Megan
Please.
looks at her list, when I introduced you and talked about the horses, let's talk about Glamour Girl DBA's plus
Okay.
forward slash
Yeah.
because I promised we'd come back to that and we never did. So here we go.
Okay. Well, first of all, Gigi was bred by Tracy Dickers, who is a longtime Wisconsinite and good friend. We all know her. Gigi was the last thing on my list when I was shopping for another horse to bring on, knowing that eventually I would be retiring Worf. And there's something special going on with him too this year. Anyway, she was 4 years old, unbroke, half Arab, chestnut mare. Okay. And bigger than I wanted because, the older you get, the smaller your horses should get. Okay, she's the biggest one. Not as big as Cosmic, but she's pretty big. In fact, I had another little funny story at Arab Nationals before one of my Western classes, the side judge. I had already gone past the judge at sea, and the side judge had been kind of looking down at her paper, and she literally went like this. Are you sure you don't need a bigger horse? And it was, to me, it just broke the ice. I just had to laugh. And I said, well, she grows a hand when I put the Western saddle on her. But that was it. It made my day. It made my ride. Anyway, what was the question? I'm already on the tail. The lifetime awards for the Arab, the Arabian Achievement Awards, are supposed to be earned over the lifetime of the horse's show career. We did it in 2 years plus one nationals. You accumulate points both through scores and by winning at, yep, there she is, winning at regionals and nationals. So I started doing Region 11 in Springfield, Illinois, and you accumulate points in hand, Western Dressage, English Dressage, and the group classes, both traditional and Western group classes. And the scores and the type of show, the points vary. Anyway, that doesn't matter. So Region 11 in Springfield, Illinois, Region 10 in Oshkosh at that fairgrounds, and then Arabian Sport Horse Nationals. This year, I'm already entered. This will be my 3rd year of going, and that's at WEC in Wilmington, Ohio, which is a really cool place to show. And you'll be going, right, Meg? Right, Megan? You'll be going to USDF Nationals. You're going to love it. Anyway, so what we were lacking, the group classes are not required, but to get all of the awards, you also have to have in-hand points. This does not run, but But I have a young and capable handler who did a wonderful job, and I'm going to butcher her last name, Molly Swister. She handled Gigi for me at nationals and at both regionals. And we came out either top 10 or champion last year's nationals. So the pluses are for, oh, I don't know which is which. I'm sorry, I'm such a failure. But there's 4 or 5 different awards, and you get pluses and slashes depending on whether it was performance points or halter points, but I'm not sure which. So I had all my performance points after like the first year plus the previous nationals, but I needed those halter points. Last year going into nationals, I entered her in 2 in-hand classes because Molly's an amateur. So she was able to do open and amateur. I needed 17 more points to get the final highest award. And you get, by being top 10 in your division at nationals, you get 10 points. She went top 10 in both. So we got 20 points and finished the achievement. And I'm not doing that much grooming and braiding again. Because she does better. I have entered her in both hunter in hand and dressage type in hand. She usually scores better in the hunter in hand, so that's what we did for nationals. So hunter braids, tail braid, not going there again. Did that for 20 years. Not doing that again. So yay, she got all her stuff there. The Western Dressage Association has a lifetime awards program. They have the best points conversion chart that I have ever seen. They have different categories for each type of show. A USEF show is double points. A WDAA recognized is single points. Online is half points. The online international, which is the association show, is 1.5 points. The world show, the world championship live show, is triple points. And then, depending on the level and the score, so you have the type of show over here, you have the level over here. Sorry, can't see my hands. Doesn't matter. And depending on your score, you get more points the higher you score. Gigi just got 79% in the level 5 test online and a 78% in the level 4 test online. So she picked up more points in that online show because of those high scores than she would have had she gotten a lower score at a live show. So it equals out. I love the way they've got the scores cut out. 60 to 65, 66 to 71, 71 to 75, and 76 plus. And I should maybe talk a little bit about the scoring. So, I mean, I'm throwing out big numbers, and both of my horses have scored into the 80s. A couple other horses that I've shown, we have scored mid 70s, low 80s. I think the highest score I've ever gotten was an 89. We are in our judging. It's more common for us to use the entire scale. I've given a 2 and a 9 in the same test. I've rarely given a 10, but I have once or twice. I've been judging for 5 years, maybe 4 years. I think I've given 1 10 because the entire test was 8s and 9s. And so, the horse that's getting 6s and 7s, it would be kind of rare for that horse to get a 10. But I just had a test on Sunday where most of the test was she did get a few 5.5s. She got a couple 8s. When things really went well, the horse was super soft. It was round. It was bending. It was through. It was forward. It was well balanced. So it got 8s on a few movements there. And she just nailed the final center line. So that was a 9. It was really good. So it's a little bit, I don't want to say it's easier, but perhaps I can say in quotation marks, our Western Dressage judges might be more willing to throw out a bigger number if we see something that we really think is exceptional. And again, it doesn't matter if you're on a quarter horse, a thoroughbred, an Arab, a warm blood, a halflinger. My good friend in Michigan shows halflingers, and they're brilliant. Andalusians are very common, and they do very, very well. We have Kristen Kill, if she's still on here. I think she has won her amateur divisions up through level 3 every time she's gone to Worlds with her lovely Andalusian horse. So, Kristen, can you verify? Are you still here? She got sick of me. She's gone.
Do you use the half-point system?
Oh, yes. With our scores and the tests are very, very similar. The scoring is very similar, slightly different words. I don't have the charts side by side to compare them, but slightly different words, same meaning.
It's nice to know the half-point system carries from traditional.
Yes, yeah.
And probably makes things more fluid for judges to go from judging a traditional show one weekend, the next weekend they're at the Western Dressage. They're still thinking about their full-on, including half-point system.
Gives us a change. Here. I want to finish by, I've talked about that in the tests, they aren't as mirrored also always as the traditional because we have the other elements thrown in. We have different transitions, lots of transitions from one gait to another, more so than in traditional dressage. A lot of changes of gait, maybe not as many trot lengthenings as in traditional, but we have other stuff. We have a lot of zigzags in the half passes. We have more work on the center line. And in level 5, we have 2 tests that actually start. You lope in, you halt your salute, and you go right back into the lope. Oh, there, Andalusian cross. Thanks, Kristen. So there's the variety there. And I would read this test and watch Megan's eyes bulge out. Are you ready? Should I do it? Okay. Stay caught up. This is going to happen fast. Okay, this is level 5, test 3. All right. This test, I think, is the hardest test that we offer. I call it the kitchen sink because it has everything in it. All right. So A, enter collected lope, X, halt, salute, proceed, collected lope, left lead, C, track left, H to X, half pass left, X, flying change of lead, X to K, half pass right, K, flying change of lead, A, down center line, L, full pirouette left, X, change, I, full pirouette right, C, track right. Are you still with me? Okay. MXK, 3 flying changes every 4th stride, 8 collected walk. F to E, collected walk at first quarter line, double pivot left, second quarter line, double pivot right. E to M, extended walk, M, collected walk. C, halt, back series of 4, remember the rocker? 4 steps back, 4 steps forward, 6 steps back, proceed collected jog. HXF, lengthen stride in jog, showing 4 to 5 strides of collected jog over X, F, collected jog. A, down center line. D, half pass right. Between P and L, half pass left. Between S and I, half pass right to center line. C, turn left. Still with me? Okay. H, collected lope. S to F, lengthen stride in lope. F, before F, collected lope. F, flying change of lead. A, down center line. X, halt salute. You ready for that one, Megan? Can't hear you. You got to unmute.
I think I got everything but the little pivot things. But
the
I think
pivots,
I could.
yes.
AJ and I
You
can
could.
do it.
You could.
We got this.
You got this.
I'm ready.
Sounds
Let's
good.
bring it.
I do online lessons.
Challenge accepted. All right.
We have
I'll look
too
at my
much
calendar.
flow.
I gotta try this.
Okay. So everybody watching, I don't get to see Stephanie as much, but I run into Megan at the show, and our normal greeting is "Here comes trouble." So
I want to see Megan do this on AJ, but no double bridle. You have to be in the correct
That's right.
attire.
Yeah.
You have to be in the
You
correct
have to
attire.
have
You
the
can't have 4 reins.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bring it.
Okay.
I'm ready.
We'll find you a saddle that fits him.
Oh no, I gotta do it.
Oh, honey, if you're gonna do this, you're gonna do the whole thing.
I can use a snaffle. I'll have to look at the
You can
rules,
use the
but okay,
snaffle.
bring it. Well, you may
Okay.
need to come the first lesson and see. Like, I'm not sure I have the tack. Oof. Western saddle. Okay, let's do it. I'm still game. Let's do it.
You know, we have many saddle makers now that are actually offering saddles that are made specifically for Western dressage. Some people still use the traditional saddles, but some of the older saddles, the fenders are hung so far forward, they put you in a chair seat and makes it impossible to stay balanced. The equitation saddles have such a buildup in the front that they anchor your seat in one place and make using the seat aids more difficult. Some of the saddles that are older saddles do work because where the fenders are hung, they're hung under your leg and the seat has a little more freedom. You'll see a lot of the saddles with rounded skirts that are a lot more comfortable for short-backed horses. The rigging has to be traditional Western. Some of us use a back cinch. I took mine off because I felt it interfered with my leg aid for the flying changes. On the headstalls, you'll see everything from just plain leather to loaded with silver. Nosebands, no noseband, that's personal choice. Snaffle or shanked bit, personal choice. So you do have some variety. We even allow the saddles have to have fenders, which are the wide stirrup hangers, and they have to have a skirt, which is why the Australian saddles are not permitted. They don't have those. Horns are actually optional. Yeah, because there's a lot of the endurance saddles or trail saddles that are made without the horns, but fender skirts Well, you got to be able to look at it and go, that's Western saddle. Oh, what kind of bit do I use for level 5? I have for Wharf, his bit is a 4-inch shank and an arch mouth, similar to a La Hoyt. Not a mullen, which curves up over the tongue. This curves up above the tongue so that when I have a little contact, it rolls up off the tongue a little. And it's only got a little bit of an arch to it. Gigi has a low port with the roller, again, a very short shank, like 4 inches, and they both use a strap instead of a chain. It is a low port. I have one. Can I disappear for 10 seconds? I have one.
We'll look at all her cool ribbons on the wall. And she says it's a small part of her I can imagine her awards rooms must be multi. So
I kind of want to know what AJ would feel like in a Western saddle.
I know. I think this would be fun.
I think it would be very different. I don't want a horn.
Why not? You could
get a saddle with a really low horn.
And got me. I lost my air. I don't like horns.
Yeah.
I don't think AJ would do that, but I don't want it.
No. Well, again, the saddles that are more suitable for Western dressage they don't have the swells, are the things on the side of the horn. And we want little ones. Yeah, not those big bear trap things. And the horns are low. They're very, very small and low. This is Gigi's bit. It has swivel cheeks. The shanks are only about 4 inches long. It has some independence of the bars with this roller in the middle, except I wrapped the whole thing with latex because she's a princess.
Yeah, I wonder how my horse would like that. Oh, yay, Stephanie's back. We miss you.
I just wanted to give Joann a little more space to show the bit. So I just quick pulled myself out so she could, because you're kind of squeezed in between us. And it was like, oh, let's give you a little more space on the screen. Yeah. So, well, it's just the fact that 3 of us were on there. I think it sort of worked, hopefully. So that's all I was doing, was giving her a little more space.
Yep.
Sorry, Megan, did I cut you off? I didn't mean to do that. But no, that's fascinating. We got a question, so hang on here.
All right. Oh, the La Hoyt. If you look, it is a dressage weymouth or curb bit, and it has not, again, the mullen mouth has the curvature that when the bit is in neutral, it goes over the tongue and is at the opposite plane of the shanks. The La Hoyt, the curvature is, you could lay it flat on the table because the arch goes up instead of over the tongue. It goes up a little, but then when the horse is moving, it gives that little bit of tongue freedom. With Wharf, when I tried, a lot of the bits have the port in the middle, that little curve up. And I put one in his mouth because that's what my pony uses. She's got a low port bit. And he acted like I was choking him. It was hilarious. But he loves, because the double bridle that I used for him had a La Hoyt. So basically, I bought a bit with Western shanks, but the same mouthpiece as what I was using on his double bridle. And he will also go, I've often shown him in a mullen mouth snaffle, especially toward the end of the season when it's not windy, because I have trees and trees are scary. But I do have, I'm really premature on this because the points have not been counted. You know, I said that both of my horses are in the Western Dressage Association Lifetime Awards. They're both Supreme Champion, which has been the highest award offered starting this year. They introduced a new award, difficult award to get. The requirements are level 5 scores, 10 scores, all of them have to be above 65%. Half of those have to be from test 3 or test 4, because there's a big difference between 5-1 and 5-3 and 4. And 1,500 points, 5 years in the program. So beyond the Supreme, which was 700 points, a lot of us kept supporting the program and still recording our scores. And that it is a pay for play, which is fine. But I like year-end stuff. It keeps me going, gives me goals. Anyway, I almost officially retired Wharf last year, and we were just a few tests short of getting that new award, which is called Super Horse. And I asked him if he could do it, and he said, yeah, I got more. I can do it. So I pulled him out of retirement, and I rode 4 more tests. And I rode more than I needed to fill the requirements. And those points have not been officially recorded yet. But I'll have a big announcement to make as soon as those points are officially recorded.
Yay! Congratulations. A little in
But don't
advance.
congratulate me until it's official. So
How
it
about
shouldn't be
congratulations for just going for it.
We're going
job.
for it. Pulling
Yeah,
my
going for
poor
it.
horse out of retirement. But, you know, I will tell you, I've had that horse since he was a baby. And if he didn't want to do it, he would have told me. And I would have listened. But he got some fabulous scores and some really nice comments from the judges. So it was
That's
fun.
awesome. How old is he now?
Well, he's 19.
Okay.
Yep. But
And he
you
is
know,
what
I
breed
get
again?
off on he is Welsh Cob. So
Okay.
another one of those very non-traditional breeds. But with Gigi, I have to say, I told you all the things she was not on my list. The one thing that was on my list is I know how she was bred, and I know how she was handled and cared for medically since she was born. And that overrode all the other stuff. Yep. So
Well, and
it's
she's
important.
proven herself.
Yeah. The temperament is important, and how they were raised is very important. And she came to me with perfect manners, and being extremely healthy. I knew she'd been dewormed. I knew what are you doing? Do you have flies?
She has flies.
Stop it, Megan.
What was that introduction? Hey, there's trouble or something like that?
Yeah, here comes trouble.
I don't know what you're talking about. Look at this face. Whatever.
You just go right on with that delusion. Okay, before she goes off the deep end, maybe we should ask for final questions.
Yeah, who's got any more questions? This has really been amazing. So many awesome questions in the chat, and I love this. This has been great. Such a wealth of information to share with our subscribers, and I totally appreciate it. It's fascinating. We've learned about working equitation. We've talked to Jan Grunewald, who is well-known. I'll call him cowboy, but he's a judge and a clinician and an instructor here in Wisconsin, and
close guy.
Yeah, sports is 4-H and stuff, but I really appreciate this. This is awesome. We should mention that I have what's that?
Fun with friends.
Yes. We should mention that I via text message twisted your arm and asked you to come back on another live stream to talk specifically about your judging career, not necessarily focused on Western Dressage, but the judging, because we'd love to just hear more. You're a wealth of knowledge, and this is awesome. But we're focusing tonight, obviously, on the Western Dressage, and I appreciate it so much. Megan, do you have other questions?
I do not. Thank you so much. I want to try this level 5 shenanigans.
Sounds like fun.
She wants to skip all the other levels.
Well,
right to the top, man.
AJ's done it all.
Yeah,
maybe
he
like
should be able to do it.
Sounds like fun. Well, thank you both.
Yeah.
This has been just a really fun evening.
Yeah,
it's awesome. It's a ton of fun to do these live streams. So we appreciate you taking, almost 2 hours of your time here. I know you do teach and stuff in the evening. We've got a couple of, comments from the gallery here. And we appreciate everybody in the chat for being very interactive as well. We really enjoy that and appreciate that as well. So,
and all the knowledge they shared. Thank you so much, ladies.
Yes.
That was so helpful.
Thank you, all of you ladies, for filling in the gaps and for asking such important questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Got another one here. We got thank you from Diane. We already did. Oops. Joanne says, another thank you. So.
I have the best picture of me and Joanne and our friend from Florida at the World Show, just having a great time.
I got an obscure, I just thought of this. Is there show season calendar year, or does it mirror kind of like USDF does, December 1st on, or what's the show year with USEF?
Well, it depends on where you live. There are a lot of shows in California. There are shows in Texas. There are shows in Florida that go year round. There aren't as many live shows as USDF offers, unfortunately, which is part of the reason that the online shows have, Deborah, of course, I had a brain fart there, Deborah Hauser, who has volunteered for Worlds many, many times. We have the best volunteers there too. People will fly themselves to Oklahoma just to volunteer at that show and pay all their own expenses. And Joann has done it for years, so has Deborah. Yes, it's that much fun. Thank you, Kristen. But where was I?
I think we were in California. I think we were in California.
Come on, you guys. Have you met me?
Well, I keep interrupting, so I'm sorry. But
that's why the online shows have become so popular, because we are getting the same judges that we get at the live shows. And I can judge, I can judge people all around the country. I can ride for judges that I would probably never, ever be able to ride for at a live show. And the opportunities are there to get so much feedback from the variety of judges. at that you'll never get at a live show. And if you're blessed enough to have a big enough indoor, we need runners, yes. Joann, do you lose about 30 pounds at every world show? Probably. Anyway, so, some people have a large enough arena that they can video for the online shows year round, even if they don't have live shows near them. And some area of the country, that's the only option for people is the online shows. And the feedback is wonderful. The judges with the online shows, because there are no strict time constraints like there is for a live show, you often get much more feedback, more comprehensive comments, a lot of things to help you progress in your training. So I'm seems like I'm pushing it, but I guess I am pushing it because of the opportunities that you're not going to get if you have to wait for a show to come to your area. You can do it no matter where you are. Some people just put cones out in the middle of their pasture. Had plenty of those.
Well, and if you've got, if you're in the middle of, let's say the North Woods of Wisconsin, and, the nearest showgrounds is a 2-hour, 3-hour, 4-hour ride, by a trailer, and your horse and you don't maybe own a trailer, if you can, you described what you have to video. It's intense as far as all the requirements go. But like you said, you can know your deadline in advance and start making your attempts at videoing well in advance to try to get that one perfect video. So,
well, this year for the online international, I had a limited amount of time in between those two Arabian regional shows, and I rode 2 of the tests and found out that the SD chip in the camera was faulty. And then it started raining. And so I was only able to, I had entered 4 tests. I was only able to send in video for 2 of the tests, but we still got good scores. We got 71%, and they were one and done. And, there wasn't any time left with good weather to redo those other 2 tests. That was disappointing to not have 2, but it's okay. There's next year.
Yeah, there is that when you don't have an indoor arena. We don't have at the farm here. There's no indoor. So
yeah. And only intro and basic are allowed to be ridden in the short arena. Level 1 is very similar to first level in traditional, and you need a large arena to do those movements. So some people just live in different areas of the country, and that's okay too. But the opportunities are endless.
Are the fees a little bit less for online?
Yeah. Usually there's an office fee of about $30 because that organizer has a lot of work to do. They have to do they have to prep all the tests. They have to label electronically. They have to, gather the links that people send in. And then the classes generally run, depending on whose platform, anywhere from $20 to $40 per class. And they often send, nice ribbons or have a year-end championship, either a show or an accumulation of points, where they'll send you something pretty nice.
That's awesome. Well, I know we keep saying we're ending things, but we keep coming up with more thoughts and questions. So
but I better tell people where to find these online shows. The WDAA website calendar. we'll have all the live shows and all of the recognized online shows.
Megan, do you have any final thoughts?
I don't. Yeehaw. Thank you.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Are you going to cowgirl up, Megan?
Yeah, I need a cowboy hat, but I don't know about the.
You don't have one?
Outfit. Well, I can borrow AB's. No, all mine's in my arena being decorations. But yeah, no.
And they
Yeehaw.
probably aren't as appropriate. All right.
Probably not.
Yippee-ki-yay. Yippee-ki-yay, sister.
Yeehaw. Let's do this.
All right.
Well, thank you so much, Joann. This was
you.
awesome. So much
Definitely.
fun. It's always great to see you. We don't get to see each other enough.
I know.
But yeah, it's it's been a while since we've seen each other in person, but this is truly a blast. We appreciate it. Thank you everybody again who's been in the peanut gallery. Really appreciate all the comments and the information and things and their questions. It's so awesome. We were saying 10 minutes ago, we were saying goodbye, but we got distracted. Well, I think we can cut you loose for the night.
All three of us.
Yeah.
Thank you to everyone. This has just been so educational. I'm ready. Let's do this, Joann.
Right.
Joann, if
Right.
people want to contact you, Joann, let's say they want to have you out for a clinic, virtual lesson, have you judge a show, etc. How would you like them to reach you? Is there anything you want to share for how they can reach you? Is there socials? Is there email? Is there Facebook, website? I mean,
Facebook hates me, and I'm on my third new page in 3.5 years. So I am now JR, big J, small R, Williams. And the background square picture is Glamour Girl wearing one of her championship garlands. And the little small picture is a side profile of my Australian Shepherd. But in the background behind him, you will see my shadow boxes with belt buckles and ribbons on my bookcase, and just the cantle of a dressage saddle that I was cleaning up to sell. So that's how to find me. And the other really easy way to find me is the USEF licensed officials list under either Western Dressage or Welsh Pony Cab Society.
Awesome. Perfect. We want to make sure because I'm sure people are like, how do I get a hold of Joann? I want to take a lesson. So you do virtual.
I do virtual lessons, yes.
So anywhere in the US, you can hire Joann to take a Western Dressage or traditional dressage lesson, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So thank you.
Okay, thank you again. This was fun.
We're going to go ahead and let you go, Joann. We really appreciate it. It's been a couple hours of your time, and looking forward to having you back to talk about.
All right. Sounds good.
And
to
include
me.
the Welsh in there too next time.
All
right. Have a great night. Thanks so much, Joann. All right. Bye-bye.
Yeehaw.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Megan. It was a great night. Thanks again, everybody in the viewing gallery. Make sure you subscribe. We really appreciate it. We're going to have Joann back on. So Joann, stick around if you can. We'll be back in a second, but we're going to say goodnight to everybody. Right, Megan?
Bye.
There we go. Bye, everybody.